This is the key message. Everybody was afraid that digital will kill the analog.
Yeah.
But what it turned out, that digital, because of all the disadvantages, or let's put it that way, the limitations of digital, they helped so much that the people remember and appreciate the analog, the real things. So the Polaroid, it was not the quickest or the fastest image anymore, but it was the image you can touch, an image that had a value, an image that you cared about.
Following is a conversation with Florian Doc Kaps, entrepreneur, out-of-the-box thinker, creator, dreamer, and known as the man who saved Polaroid. A documentary about Doc called An Impossible Project premieres in his hometown of Vienna, Austria at the end of this month, where I spoke to him from his home. Doc, thank you. I know how busy you are. You are busy, and as if you don't have enough when things are going well, but now the COVID thing and the pandemic must be like slamming you. So the fact that you're taking time out of your day to just talk to me on this Zoom meeting is really cool, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You know, it's a big honor to be here.
Well, I feel the same and doubly blessed. And, you know, before I knew who you were, you know, kind of pulled back the layers and I found your TEDx talk that you did in Munich. I was fascinated by all the work you did. And the one thing that I loved is that you grew up in a really supportive home. You know, your mom, and you talk about being loved and feeling valued and respected. And it seems like a lot of really successful people in this world have the opposite, like some traumatic event. My father beat me or something, you know, or my mother left us when I was 3 and left, you know, I was raised by wolves. And you had a supportive childhood. And I'd be just curious to know what your childhood was like, how you became the legend that you are. If you could just tell me a little bit about it.
You know, I grew up in Vienna, which, you know, for many, many years, you know, it seemed to be a very boring city compared to all the other capitals of the world that I love to travel and visit. But surprisingly, you know, what I had to find out through all these adventures and doing businesses all over the world is that somehow Vienna is a very special and very analog city. Basically, a city which is made, you know, also had a big influence of my thinking, and also, you know, maybe the reaction of to the digital revolution, because here in Vienna, everybody is super stubborn. You know, if there is a new trend, something new coming, you know, we say, hey, wait and see. You know, I'm not changing my behavior. You know, it's a very, very special city. And I grew up in that city, very traditional, with my mom and my father, and maybe with a crazy combination, because my father is a bookkeeper. He's, you know, very into numbers and not at all creative. He's very structured. He, you know, puts everything in little you know, notes and you know, on paper. And my mother is a painter, and she you know, she teaches art. So she's very creative, and the total opposite of my father. And somehow I think I ended up as a combination of being, you know, very creative in some ways, but still, you know, numbers and structures. And the question is, you know, can I make a business out of dreams? This is still a fascinating thing for me. I never wanted to do art. I wanted to do creative business, but do something, you know, try to be, you know, to connect creative, free thinking with structures, numbers. So maybe this is, you know, what defines of who I am from back in the days. And at the same time, I don't think my parents get what I'm doing. So it's, you know, it's still a big struggle. And there is a film coming out now, you know, called An Impossible Project, which is a documentary about my life. And I brought my parents to the premiere in Rotterdam, and I said, okay, finally they watched the film and they will understand what I'm doing, because and it was a little bit of a disappointment, because my father fell asleep after 15 minutes. And then he at the end of the movie said, this movie didn't make any sense, but nobody dared to tell him that he was asleep for 15 minutes, and that this maybe had an impact of not understanding the plot anyhow. Very funny.
That's awesome.
But I think somehow, that's always the problem with parents and kids and doing things differently and stuff. So I grew up here. I have a wife and a family. Oh, sorry, maybe I have a wife and family here, raised in Vienna, and I really had a very protected, very traditional childhood. I have a sister, which is she's 4 years older than me. She's a teacher. There's a lot of teachers in our family anyhow. I don't know. This is really scary a little bit. But otherwise, I was always fascinated to do things nobody else is doing. And I was always fascinated to understand nature. And that's why I started to study biology, to understand the principal mechanisms of what makes us feel good, how is it all connected? Because at the end of the day, we are just human beings, and we shouldn't see things too complicated. It's about being happy, eating, drinking, sex, creating next generations. Let's put it that way, and ideally leave this planet a little bit better than we found it, and that's all. All the other things are just vibrations that shouldn't be taken too seriously.
Yeah, that right on. If people could just have that be part of what makes them function and get out of bed in the day, just to be, you had even said it in that TEDx talk, and I've spoken to you numerous times since watching that for the first time. You talk about faith, love, hope. And one of the things you say is, if we could just learn to trust our own senses, like I love what you say. You go, don't listen to a word I say. Don't trust me. Don't take my word for it. Go and trust your own self, and the things that you love, fight hard for them, and we're going to be fine. But people are, and this is our good way to kind of launch off into Supersense and Polaroid and things. But you say you can't fall in love if you don't smell.
Yeah, because you need all your senses in order to really trust somebody, and your senses warn you. The complexity and the potential of our five senses. That's the only reason why we're still sitting here on this planet. Because they warn us. They, the bitterness says, okay, scary. This, you shouldn't eat that, and this is warm. This is cold. This, don't trust this guy. And this is the problem on the digital, that we are lost. We are not in reality, so we don't know whom to trust. And I think without trust, it's going to be very hard to find the solutions for our future.
Well, Doc, let's talk about some of your projects. And in your some of the talks, I've listened to interviews with you, I've spoken to you. Let's get to the heart of some of the coolest things that you've done. And going back, I'm not sure, it's got to be at least 10 years or so, you ended up signing an agreement with Polaroid, I believe, to be the sole distributor of the film that they were making for their, can I call them instant cameras? Is that the way to put it? And then there was a shift, and could you kind of tell me how you got into this amazing thing about, to be the man who saved Polaroid?
No, the deal was that, I went to them and said, okay, there is a magic for your Polaroid films. Even if the world goes digital, there is something there, it pops up all over the world. Adidas Original is just shooting a campaign on this material. It's there's something. So, and I tried to convince them to, think about new ways to win new customers. And I had this crazy idea to open an online shop for Polaroid film, because it was harder and harder to get the film at the retail. And they said, "Oh, that's a nice idea. We don't know if the internet shop is really a big thing, but the problem is we lost faith because there is no future for Polaroid film. So we are not investing in this material anymore. We keep it alive, but we are investing in digital. But if you really believe in that, you can become, you can get the rights to sell the film globally across all regions online, because nobody else is anyhow interested in doing it. So you just have to guarantee us a minimum purchase of 180,000 euro." And I said, "Oh my God, I don't have 180,000 euro." And they said, "So you don't believe in your own ideas?" And I said, "Of course I do, but..." So anyhow, I went back to my grandmother and everybody, and we collected the money and started the online business without having sold one single pack of film before. And so it was crazy, but we were lucky because, a small company called Google, by that day, they introduced their search machine. And so everybody, every guy, every girl who wanted, who found a Polaroid camera on the flea market and wanted to have film for the camera, he first went to the shop, didn't get it. Second shop didn't get it. So they went online, put it in Google, and they found us. So within a couple of years, we had more than 40,000 customers from all over the world, buying Polaroid film. So it was a really cool business, and we specialized on expired Polaroid films, and we had a lot of fun until the day in 2008 when Polaroid called me and said, "Hey, Doc, incredible what you did. Thanks for the good time, but we're closing the last factory. So this is the end of Polaroid film." And I said, "What the fuck? We just started. My business just started. I have 40,000 customers."
Oh my gosh.
So that's we didn't even think about it when we had the chance to buy the factory. It was a no-brainer because we had the customers. We needed the film. It's so that's how it all started.
You're listening to my interview with Florian Doc Kaps, entrepreneur from Vienna and subject of a new documentary called An Impossible Project, about his quest to save Polaroid film from extinction.
So they're like, "Hey, good jobs gaining." First of all, 40,000 customers is a lot. I mean, well, maybe not for Facebook, but for what you did, and it seems like timing. Yeah,
it's a lot for a product that nobody needs any longer. That was the mindset. There is no reason, because digital photography is much more instant than instant photography, and it's for free, or at least that's what the people thought back in the days. It's for free. Right. So there was absolutely no reason why this material should exist, other than my feeling that this is somehow the digital did something, and this is the key message. Everybody was afraid that digital will kill the analog.
Yeah.
But what it turned out that digital, because of all the disadvantages, or let's put it that way, the limitations of digital, they helped so much that the people remember and appreciate the analog, the real things. So the Polaroid, it was not the quickest or the fastest image anymore, but it was the image you can touch, an image that had a value, an image that you cared about. It was, it even, you can touch it and smell it compared to digital. So, and it was unpredictable. Even that was, an incredible advantage, because digital, all the pictures are perfect, look the same. There is no challenge in that.
Yeah.
You know, that's like mountain climbing on a highway. You know,
Yeah.
not
Right?
super challenging.
Yeah. Driving to the top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah.
that's what it's all about.
So now you buy the factory and you are the man. And you know, I know that you didn't do it alone, because I don't think people can do things alone. I know you had help and partnerships and things like that. But now when there are Polaroid cameras out there, essentially that film that goes into them without that would just wouldn't even exist now. And so that is a big part of what you do. And you know, I know you have some other endeavors going on, and did Supersense come before that, or did that come after your Polaroid project?
No, it's after. And you know what happened is that the times and the customers dramatically shifted from this old nostalgic romantic guys like myself that had these feelings from back in the days. And that's why when we started, suddenly the young generation who grew up digitally, they started to discover these analog technologies from a totally different viewpoint. And this was the most fascinating aspect, even with my kids. You know, when in 2008, when I gave them the first Polaroid camera, they didn't know what to do because they wanted an iPhone. Everybody got an iPhone in 2008.
They go to school
3 years. Yeah, so only 3 years later, the Polaroid camera was much cooler than this boring iPhone.
Yeah, right.
And I said, I want to create a space in Vienna where we bring together all these analog technologies. So Polaroid is still an important aspect of that. So for example, I'm sitting here next to the biggest Polaroid camera of the world.
What? It's the size of a washing machine.
Yeah, it makes Polaroids in the size of 70 inches. So it's super crazy.
So that's not fake. That's real.
That's real. Yeah, it makes, you know, these huge Polaroids. You pull them out like that. It's, you know, it's gigantic.
Wow.
And so and I want, you know, but I wanted to do a print shop. I want to do a restaurant. I want to basically a department for every sense. That's Supersense, because this is what makes reality different to digital. And one of the main topics, and which is, you know, one our main focus at the moment is vinyl records, because everybody loves vinyl records, but nobody has a clue, or not a lot of people have a clue how they are produced. What is it all about? You know, what is the groove and stuff. And the funny thing is that since the 70s, nobody was rethinking or putting any innovation in the process of producing it. So I said, okay, I have to change this. I have to learn about records, and I want to come up with new ways, and also combine them with our digital presence, and you know, think about ways to combine this wonderful medium with the future, because this is very important. The same with Polaroid. I don't want to keep dinosaurs alive. I want to, you know, inspire young people, innovative people, to combine old technologies with new technologies. This is, for me, the main driving of evolutions. If you stop, you know, understanding the past, you know, you will not find the answers for the future. And this is a big problem of digital. Digital pretends to fake that, you know, you don't need any analog things. You know, you can do anything better, easier, smoother with digital. And this is simply not true. You know, that's not true.
Yeah, that's exactly. We become really disconnected from ourselves. And there are, you know, there are meditative parts, I suppose, of, you know, playing a game on your iPhone. The image is hilarious of your kids going to school, and everybody, all their buddies have fancy iPhones, and they walk in with a Polaroid camera. There's something
they didn't think it was very fancy back then, I can tell you. You know, my main question, Tom, is, you know, with this crisis, I think we all agree there is no easy way back to normal. But in my understanding, after spending so much time in Zoom conferences and being isolated, I think people should appreciate even more to go out with friends, or how important it is to travel in real life. And there are other people who said, people will stop doing it because for so long they have, been in a room, they will never go out again. So this is a big thing, how people will react to that. Does the digital slowly, take away our senses or our spirit? Will we all end up having sex in front of the screen, or even this metaverse? How can anybody say this is a solution? Because let's put on gloves after these masks. Let's put on gloves and let's meet in metaverse. I said, oh my God, this is against what I think humans are made for.
Yeah, right on. I absolutely. Doc, if I could ask you a couple of questions about what are the things that you keep with you? Like if you were going on a trip, you've got this bag, what goes in it? What's the most important things that you bring with you? And, that kind of keep you productive, but also inspire you.
I think it's a notebook where I can write, like you said, to write down ideas, to sketch some ideas. It's also gonna be my iPhone, because I love to take pictures of things that inspire me, and I love to connect and research, and I love the combination of both of these worlds, and to open up to the world. I think, we have to think internationally and we have to work together. So I suffer a lot of, that, even in Europe, we cannot really, work together as united people. It's, every problem that comes, like refugees, whatever, we just, it's just bad. This should be problems that we can easily solve together, but there is, it still seems to be very hard that we work together as a global, as a global united group of people who all live on the planet. And so what I take with me is the iPhone and the notebook. And what recharges my batteries is that, we focus on things that inspire people to do some stuff on their own. So we have somehow specialized on tools for creativity. So the most rewarding things for me, and also I think that's, why I'm so closely connected with tools for Nomads, is when you watch of people staring at this picture, slowly developing, and then keeping it and warming it, or, using a pencil or listening to a record that we produce, and they said, oh, what's going on? I have goosebumps. It's products that inspire people or make people feel happy. The best news for me is this young generation that, I was afraid that maybe we have lost them to the digital, to their iPhones, but it's the other way around. It's incredible. They stand up, they stop eating meat, they questioning the industry.
I would imagine you probably don't. Yeah, I can't imagine depression being a part of your life. I'm sure you get, tied up in, when things are really tough, I'm sure you go deep and to find the resources to fix problems. But I can't imagine you just being a guy who's like, I've been really depressed lately, feeling, that existential thing. It just seems like there's like this purpose, like there's a drive in you. And right, am I right, or am I making a presupposition? Because
it's that the good thing somehow, I have to carry a lot of burden and load on my shoulders, also financially, because maybe in 30 years some of the business ideas will turn into some money. But I also think that's a good thing, because I once in my life I had a big billionaire with the famous words said, "Hey, Doc, with your ideas and your network and your vision and with my money, we're gonna change the world." And what followed was the most complicated period of my life, because we did a lot of shit, because we had too much money to be tight on money helps me, at least, a lot to focus and to concentrate and to learn as fast as possible from the mistakes and the direction. So, but coming back to your question, when I'm tired and nothing, I always have my family that I can come back to and say, okay, what the shit, that's business, and I may fail, but I have people that I love, and take it easy. And then I have a glass of wine, I have a good sleep, and in the morning, I stand up very early usually and have a coffee, and suddenly, it's a new day, and let's see, because it feels like we're doing the right thing, and and we learn a lot from our mistakes. Even if I die today and all goes down, nobody's gonna take this away, and that's a good feeling. I think that's
people listen to this stuff, maybe just one little bean on in the basket for hope and faith and expectation for the beautiful things that are potentially
and
happen.
That's what I hope the most. And also with this impossible project that we did, no matter how crazy it was, to first, like you said, the people trust your senses in order to find the right decisions, the right partners, the people you follow. That's very important. Try to meet them in reality. Don't try behind an avatar or whatever. Go out there. And the second thing is, do what you love. Follow, your passion. Even if everybody's telling you you're wrong, follow your dreams and, do daydreaming. It's worth it, because, you have to try it, even if you fail, because that's important. If all of us just do the things that are expected from them, or by the society or advertising, it's a boring world. I think we miss out on a lot of things.
Thanks for visiting Tools for Nomads. I'll see you real soon.